Well, hello there and welcome to Mind Your Business. I'm Jennifer Anderson, host of the show and executive director of the Georgina Chamber of Commerce. Well, I'm excited about today's show. We have been really talking about businesses and promoting businesses and all the great things that they are doing in this community over the last few months and even the last couple of years as they've really weathered a storm and worked their way through a global pandemic. Every year for the last 16 years, the Georgina Chamber of Commerce has been hosting the Business Excellence Awards, and we always do that in the fall. Since 2016, we have partnered with the town of Georgina, and we've been working on the Business Excellence Awards in conjunction with the Mayor and Council's Milestone Awards. And it only made sense because both of these awards, both of the recipients of each of these awards really focus on business, and we focus on excellence in business in the town of Georgina. So today's show, not only are we talking to some of this year's recipients of the Mayor and Council's Milestone Awards, but we're also going to be talking to Karen Stone a little bit about what the Milestone Awards are and why they're so important to this community. So let me introduce you to my guest now. As I said, Karen Stone is joining us. She is the Manager of Economic Development and Tourism for the Economic Development and Tourism Division at the town of Georgina. Thanks, Karen, for joining us.
Thanks, Jen, and thanks for having us and giving us this opportunity to celebrate with a few of our businesses today.
Yeah, and I'm excited to talk to you a little bit about the importance of these awards and to celebrate with some of this year's recipients. The recipients that we have on today's show, first off, Corrine Ennis. She is the owner of Pedal Pushers Flower and Gift Shop. Hi, Corrine.
Hi, Jen. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you for being here. We also have Tom Cook, and Tom is a barrister and solicitor with Thomas Cook Law. Hi, Tom. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much. Happy to be here.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have Joel Lipschitz. He is a chartered professional accountant and the owner of Lipschitz Professional Corporation. Hi, Joel.
Hi, Jennifer, and thank you so much for doing this. You know, the importance of small business in the community cannot be overstated. And things like this really can help businesses and make people aware that we exist.
I absolutely 1,000% agree with you, Joel. Thank you for joining us today. I did choose 4 guests to be on today's show who have really long titles as well. So I'm thrilled to be able to get through that. Karen, let's start with you. Since 2016, we have been partnering to bring the community and to recognize recipients for the Mayor and Council's Milestone Awards. Let's talk about what those Milestone Awards are.
So I think when we've been participated, Mayor and Council have always participated with the Chamber's Business Excellence Awards, and we perhaps recognize that there were a few businesses that might fall through the cracks, and that's only because they are humble within the community, and they may not come out to events. You may not see their face in the paper, in the media channels. But we wanted to recognize the important contribution that these businesses make. And again, they are typically some members of our community. They're a little more humble and quiet and have raised their families, run a business. But we just wanted to celebrate and ensure that we recognize, especially those businesses that have been here for many, many generations.
Well, and I think you're right, because originally when, 5 or 6 years ago, when we first started to recognize these businesses as an awards event, they were businesses who were in this community over 100 years. And it was shocking how many people and how many businesses had been in this community for that long. And it continues to be, I think, surprising for a lot of the community because, 30, 25, 20 years, I think people aren't necessarily aware of how long these businesses have been in this community.
No, definitely, Jen. And when our office started with the Business Milestone Awards, when we started looking through the list that we have that's done through various databases, I was surprised at myself, and I've been a longstanding resident in the community and certainly worked with everyone here on the call today. And when I looked at the number of businesses that even had 75 years, 50 years, and we had to break it down. Certainly, we haven't done all of the 75 at one time, and this year this is only just a few of them that have celebrated this milestone.
Right, right. And so why, and I think this is pretty self-explanatory, but why do something like this? Why celebrate in this manner?
Well, I think we have to recognize the contributions that these business members have made over 30 plus years. And not only have they been a part of our business community, but they've been part of our community, our residential community. And I think that's evident. We have 3 people with us today. They've raised their families here in the community, and they've not only been part of the business, they've been part of the recreational community, they've been part of the business associations, part of the community in terms of charity givings and helping those in need throughout the timeline that they've been in the community. So they're very important contributors to our community.
Let's talk a little bit about the recipients this year. We had 7 who were honored, 7 businesses.
Yes. So we have businesses that have celebrated 30 years or more than 30 years in our community. And as I said, these are just a few of them that will have celebrated 30 years. I know next year when we do this, we'll still be at the 30 mark. We just can't recognize everyone all at once. So we have Joel Lipschitz, and certainly Joel and I think I remember when he first opened his business more than 30 years ago. So, and we've worked together for a number of years. And these are all individuals that they've been part of making the community that we've all become accustomed to and are all very proud of its accomplishments. They are part of our community, and they make us what we are today. Tom Cook, I think I can remember more than 30 years participating in maybe a grand opening for your business. And certainly you've been part of our community and a number of community organizations in our town. And Corinne, you have been I guess all things in terms of the business improvement area that was developed for the Uptown Keswick business area. And my goodness, your dedication to that business community is second to none, because it was the first Merchants Association, and I can remember working together 30 years ago, and here we are still working together, and the dedication to the community that these 3 recipients make is something to be proud of.
So, and that's what I love about it, because we're not as a town, not as a corporation, looking at just numbers and saying they've ticked a box, right? It's not just the over 30 years. It's the small town feel of really recognizing and understanding the impact that these businesses have made in our community, and the stories and the interaction, and that just goes so much further with these awards and these celebrations.
And I think you've got that right. It's a community. It's not about 30 years in a business. When I look at these people, I sort of have goosebumps, because I realize we've all watched each other grow over the 30 years. I think we all realize that we have family members in the community. It's more of a relationship than a friendship than it is a business relationship. And I think if we meet each other on the streets, we can all share stories and trials and tribulations over the last 20 or 30 years. And I think that's really important.
So normally in a normal year, we would meet and have a celebration. This year was anything but normal. So we did some virtual celebrations. Tell me how each of these businesses were recognized this year.
So first off, we did a spotlight, and we had staff that went out with our members of council. We did a story and sort of telling a little bit of the history of your business. And we've promoted it through our social media channels. I know the Chambers shared our posts. We've done the Mind Your Business. We wanted everybody to highlight their business and have it available on Rogers TV. We will feature these businesses as we go out through the year in our newsletters and in our annual reviews, because these testimonials to these businesses is what helps us encourage investment in our community. If these three businesses here today have grown they've not only invested, they've grown their business, they've raised their families here, that's a good reason of why anyone else would want to choose Georgina in terms of a place to invest or live or visit. It's these testimonials that help and make our job a little bit easier.
Absolutely. All right. Let's talk a little bit about each of these businesses. Thank you, Karen, for being a part of the show and setting up really why these businesses are amazing in our community. Kareen, I'm going to talk to you first. Tell me a little bit about Pedal Pushers Flower and Gift Shop.
All right. Well, I just wanted to have a quick note when Karen was mentioning about community. And just a funny little story. I'm connected to Joel Lipschitz as well. His wife and her sisters babysat me when I was a kid. I kind of grew up in the area. I've been here my whole life. So yeah, there's a few little funny stories like that.
It's that connection in this community. You're absolutely right.
Yes, I am actually a Pollock through my mom's side of the family. So my great-grandfather was born here, as well as my grandfather, and on down the line. So in terms of the business, I didn't set out to open a business in Georgina. That just kind of happened. So back in 1989, I came out of design school, and my grandfather actually built the building that I'm in. And he said, "Would you like a unit?" And I went, "Sure." And that's how I started. So well, yeah. So it really was maybe something stumbled upon, but certainly something that was meant to be, because 30 years later, you're still in that building, still a successful business in our community. Yeah, we're still plugging away at it. Yeah, so, and when I first moved in, my mom actually, she was a hairdresser and had the unit beside us. So that's how the business association got started. There was a number of businesses on the street, and we kind of grouped together and did some cooperative advertising and things like that. So yeah, I ended up being, well, I'm still on now that it's a BIA, still on the board. So that's been about 30 years as well. My business has been there for about it'll be 33 years this July. And we're a full service florist. So, anything floral related we do, as well as weddings and events, setups, all that kind of stuff.
So how has it evolved over the years in terms of the gifts or the services that you're providing?
Yeah, it has grown. And of course, you kind of start small and you add on over the years. I was just in the one unit to begin with, and probably about 10 or 12 years ago now, I expanded into the unit beside me. So we did increase what we carried in giftware and plants and things like that. So yeah, it's grown over the years.
And you see a lot of changes over that many years in business. None, I would assume, as significant as the last couple of years. How has your business been affected by the pandemic?
Well, yeah, it's been an odd couple of years. And the only time we actually completely shut down was at the beginning, the very first lockdown, March of 2020. A lot of my wholesalers actually shut down as well. So we were just having trouble getting product. We had no idea what was going to happen. So that we were closed for a couple of months, and then they started coming back online just before Mother's Day of that year. And so we continued, we changed how we did business. The website became very popular, and we were able to do delivery and curbside pickup. So we kind of morphed into that. And actually it worked out well for us. I have fewer staff than I initially did back in the, prior COVID times. However, it kind of worked out because I had a staff member who was wanting to retire. So it all kind of lined up. I didn't actually have to, let go of staff. It just kind of happened naturally. But even now, we are not up to the levels that we used to. We don't have the big events and weddings. We have the smaller weddings have started to come back.
Right.
So yeah, we've kept our labor costs down and continued with the delivery and curbside, and people can come into the store now.
Right.
We do have a few supply issues with product coming in, and especially this Christmas with all the forest fires and rain and mudslides and things out in BC. because a lot of the evergreens come from there.
Yes, and I saw your post, and I know that there are supply issues for your sector, and did see your post today about that holiday season, and we don't have the same kind of options with all of the things that are happening. So get your orders in, make sure everything is done early to avoid disappointment.
Yeah, that's right, and I think it goes for a lot of other businesses, not just mine. But people have to kind of be prepared that a lot of the stuff is stuck on containers trying to get here.
Yeah. How does it feel to win or be a recipient of this milestone award? It has to be a great feeling for this recognition and for the longevity of your business.
Yes, again, I didn't set out with the thought that I'd be around for 30 years, and it just kind of happened. And, yes, I did start when I was a toddler. But quite honored and proud and happy to share this with the employees that I've had over the years. Most of them have been Georgina residents, so I'm quite proud about that too.
Yeah.
And I was actually one of the first businesses to win the Georgina Excellence Awards too. With that first year they started.
Excellent. Yes. And so that, it really is over the years, it's that testament to great customer service, great business, and providing amazing services and goods to our community. So congratulations. Thank you. Thank you for being on the show. And I'm going to talk to your neighbor now. I'm heading across the street to talk to Tom. Tom, tell me a little bit about opening and being a part of the business community in Georgina.
Well, I think Corinne maybe hit the nail on the head. Often these things happen by accident. And in my case, I grew up in Northern Ontario in a smaller community, Timmins. So the small town always had an appeal. But I didn't know that I would end up in Keswick. And what happened was that my wife, who was a teacher, got her first teaching job here. And we moved here and really liked the community. We had a stint afterwards down in Toronto, but it was always in the back of our minds that we'd like to return to Keswick. We really liked the lake. We really liked the community. And so while Petey had initially been teaching here, I'd made a connection with Bob Bailey, who was a lawyer in town for many years. And he invited me to join him as a partner. And so that's how I started up here. And Bob and I worked together for many years. And then I worked on my own for a number of years. And then more recently, I had a long stint with Bob Pollock, related, I guess, perhaps distantly to Corinne. And we had a great run together. But then he retired. And at that time, I decided that we would buy our own premises. And that created the move to what was formerly the Window and Door Store. I've still got a little window and door store sign up on the side of the building. I think it's a nice homage to the Blake family, which was a big part of this community still is a big part of this community, but the senior generation is gone now. Yeah. And so now we're right in old uptown Keswick. And I think I may have wandered off the question, but that's how we got started here.
You certainly have not. You've talked a lot about the history and being a part of this community. I would assume as you provide services for this community, it was an easy choice to be able to stay here because of your love for Georgina. That's what I got from what you just said.
Yes, we've been very happy with our choice of a place to live and have never considered moving anywhere. As it turns out, both my parents were born in Aurelia, so I didn't end up too far from my family roots. And my wife also came from small town Ontario, so we had a common goal in settling in a small town and raising our children in the local schools. So thanks.
As you continue to provide services in this community, how does it feel to receive and be a recipient of the Milestone Awards?
Well, I suppose it could make one feel a little dated or old, but mostly it makes one feel honored and happy. In a small business, the recognition which you get mostly is from clients who from time to time pat you on the back and thank you for doing a good job. But it's certainly a nice extra pat on the back to receive something from the community. And so I'm honored, and just makes me want to continue what I'm doing. And I don't know whether I mentioned, but my practice is really a typical small town practice. We do lots of real estate transactions, and we do some wills and estates. And I also do some criminal defense work, although I'm doing less of that these days, but I still do some of that work. So all in all, a busy practice.
Yeah. And you know, talking about the services that you provide, that goes back to community, right? Helping the people in this community with the legal matters, with, you know, wills and real estate and those types of things. It really speaks to you helping and supporting this community.
Yes, I think that as lawyers, we're lucky in that we often come into people's lives when they're in some sort of transition, buying a house, selling a house, potentially in trouble with the law, but you're in a position where maybe you're able to assist, and you meet all kinds of interesting people, and so it's a great people person job.
Yeah. Thank you, Tom, for being a part of this, and congratulations on your business's milestone this year.
All right, thanks very much.
Thank you. Joel, another service that is providing amazing things for this community. You as a chartered professional accountant and your team, tell me a little bit about Lipschitz Professional Corporation.
Well, as Corinne and Tom both said, we've been around for what seems like a short period of time, but it's actually been over 30 years. Karen, to a point, was, I guess, a junior economic development officer back in 1989. And she actually attended my opening party as a representative for the mayor at the time, Bob Johnson. And of course, Corinne was across the road from my first office on Simcoe. So because of her efforts, I was fortunate enough to actually be part of the original Uptown Keswick Business Association back in, I don't even remember how long ago it was, but though I haven't been as active in the last 20 years because I've moved my office down to the Queensway by Glenwoods Plaza. But, you know, when I started my business, it was actually a conscious decision to come to Keswick. I had been living and grew up in Toronto. I had a small office in Unionville. And truthfully, I really wasn't happy there. I didn't find the same satisfaction with the people that I met, the clients. There wasn't the same, I didn't find the same sense of community. Once I came up here, though, it was very welcoming. The interrelationships between people meant that, you know, you got to know a lot of people, but you had to participate. And by participating, you could get so much value from a personal satisfaction viewpoint. And you got to meet some great, great people, such as Tom, Corinne, Karen, and yourself. So, you know, and also historically, because of the timing of when I came, I was fortunate to be able to be part of a number of startup initiatives, such as the Chamber of Commerce. You know, I was a treasurer for the first 2 years, and I've been involved with a lot of other organizations that have done very well. So for me, it was a conscious decision, and I'm very happy I made it. And as you talked about, my family being raised in the community, we very much feel this is our home, and I'm very happy I made that choice.
Yeah. I noticed one thing stuck when I was looking at your website. Part of your mission statement says we are client focused to assist, encourage, and support our clients to achieve their financial and business goals. I know you have seen a lot of businesses evolve and change over the last 30 years, but specifically over the last couple of years, you've also seen probably a lot more struggles than just regular folk in this community. Has it been tough for your clients and for you to see these businesses through this challenging time?
It's an interesting question, Jennifer, because the answer is that for some businesses, they've actually had very good years the last 2 years. because of the product they supply, because of the circumstance, for a number of reasons. For a lot of other businesses, it has been a struggle. And frankly, without some of the government supports, they never would have been able to survive, let alone, thrive. So for a number of businesses, it's been very difficult. For some businesses, it's actually been quite good. It's an interesting kind of mix, but it's also an interesting experiment to see what happens in an economy when you get this kind of shock that's kind of been imposed upon the world.
Right. So. Right. How do you feel receiving this recognition for this milestone award?
Well, I have to be honest with you. As Tom said, the best satisfaction, of course, comes from a client who says, thank you, or who pays their bill and comes back again. But, on the overall reaching thing, I think this is important. It's important to me personally. First of all, I do get satisfaction from being recognized. I have to admit that. But I think it's important for the business community. I think it's important that people here in the community know that we exist as there are businesses, because without the local support, there aren't any businesses that are going to really be able to survive and thrive, because we are a community. We're not a multinational headquarter kind of place. So
right. I just have a few seconds left, but just want to ask you, if you were to pull out your crystal ball, what do you see for businesses in the next little bit? What do you see for Lipschitz over the next few months and years?
Well, for us, we employ local people. So we have about 12 local people. So we very much are integrated into the local economy and the local community. I think there's going to be a lot of uncertainty. There's going to be a lot of fluctuation. I think, the crystal ball is not, COVID is here to stay. It's just a question of the impact that it has.
Right. Very good. I want to say congratulations. Want to say thrilled to have you be a part of this discussion, and thank you for your insight. Thank you to all of our guests today. And Karen, thank you. As we continue to partner, I look forward to being able to celebrate all businesses in this community as they reach their milestones and as they reach business success in Georgina. So thank you. For more information about Mind Your Business, you can head to our website, georginachamber.com. You can also head to the Rogers TV Georgina website and take a look at not only information about this show and when it's airing, but you can also tap into other episodes that have previously aired on the Rogers TV YouTube channel. On behalf of everyone at Rogers TV Georgina and the Georgina Chamber of Commerce, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Mind Your Business.